men want to make you happy. That's like really kind of why they exist. I mean, think about the polarity of energies. Like, men do all these things just to get a smile. Literally.
And let's just not start like moving around or starting to tiptoe around the fact that there's some serious bums out there. A lot of bum men right now.
It's when women decide no more situationships, no more bad behavior, no more men who treat me like shit. It's when we all say, you know what? We're not only like not allowing any of that, we're raising the bar.
When we met, I had a mattress that was it, in my apartment. A empty mattress, like barely a sheet on it. I had to order some like Amazon plate utensils. That's all I really had.
He's saying things and he's not doing them. His words aren't matching his actions. That causes such an ick in women.
And this prompts me with a question I implore every woman to think about.
What we don't own within ourselves, other people won't own either.
Yeah.
If we don't accept ourselves, other people will not accept us. Welcome back to Listen Before Love. We are back again with Mr. Man himself. How's he doing?
As you know, excited. I say it every time. Nothing new. I'm really excited about this one because this one, I'll let you talk about it, but this one leads into one of our favorite pastimes, reality TV.
That's right, baby. So Cam and I love watching dating shows. We watched Love is Blind Habibi, Love is Blind from the US, and also Married at First Sight. And one situation on this show sparked such a passionate thought in me. And so this is where this question is coming from. How much of my past should I share when I'm just getting to know someone? Okay. Now, let me back it up, give you some context if you don't watch the show. We are on Married at First Sight season 18 in Chicago. And there is one couple, David and Michelle, who have everything each other is looking for on paper. That's why they were matched. So on the show, you literally get married at the altar. You never see this person before. You're putting full faith and trust in the expert matchmakers to pair you up with your soulmate, and you meet them at the aisle when you say I do. It is truly a chaotic idea for a show, but we love it so much because it is truly a glimpse into most people's relationships that really helps us understand all the concepts we talk about with our clients and our communities on this podcast. So Married at First Sight is one of our favorite experiments that we tune into every week.
It feels like field research.
Yes, it does.
It's like we're scientists in the lab as we're eating popcorn in front of the TV. It's some weird way, but because this is now what we do, we speak on these topics for a living. It's just something we love. We're obsessed with. It's so fun. And sometimes like, I don't know if I really want to watch reality TV, but every time I do it, I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
It's awesome. And also we'll pause the show and discuss like, so what do you think happened there? And we learn so much because so much of relationship work is pattern based. So if you notice there's a breakdown from the very beginning, it usually looks very, very similar no matter what the reason or the words are, the emotions are the same. And we can predict if it's going to go downhill really fast or if the person's going to be able to recover. So let me bring you into one of the most interesting situations on this season of Married at First Sight. David and Michelle meet at the altar, and everything is seeming like it's totally fine. They were what each other asked for physically, so it doesn't seem like there are any red flags. But then, in their very first conversation, David drops some major bombs on this woman. He basically word vomits all of his insecurities, and he's like, just so you know, I smoke cigarettes, and I live in my parents' basement. Just putting that out there. And this poor woman has a panic attack. Not in front of him. She was really careful to not like hurt his feelings. But she goes to the bathroom and starts sobbing because Now there's mismatched expectations. She's trusted these experts to match her with somebody who is on her level, right? And she's just finding out that 2 of her deal breakers to her were not listened to in the matchmaking process. And now she is with a dude who lives in his parents' basement and smokes cigarettes. And to her credit, she wasn't exactly shy about not liking these things. She straight up said, okay, well, that is unexpected. That's not ideal. Ew, on the cigarettes. And he was like, okay, I'll stop smoking them. Done, end of story.
And he did immediately.
To his credit. Now, why this whole situation is really interesting is that it started the relationship before she knew anything about this man, on the foot of his shortcomings and on the foot of, oh, wait, if this man is so anxious to put this out there, then it's going to create an anxiety in me as the woman, as the receiver. And why we wanted to talk about this today is I do not think, especially in 2024, it's uncommon for people to go on first dates and dump all of their past and all of their insecurities onto the person across from them, which ends up driving the people they'd like to date and be with long-term far and far away. This, to me, is an intimacy fear. Now, what's happening here from my perspective is that you have these insecurities, you have these past wounds that you don't feel settled with. And so your nerves create a script that says, I'm just going to be honest and put it all out there, and then you can take it or leave it. Well, guess what? Most people aren't going to take it. They're going to leave it. And because, what are you afraid of? You are afraid of 4 months down the line, getting to know this person, getting them to invest in you and like you, and you doing the same, that they're going to hear all these things you're insecure about, and then they're going to leave. So what are you doing when you word vomit all these things early on in the dating process? You're afraid of being left. And what you're doing, ironically, is you're making people leave you the very thing you're afraid of. You're making it happen earlier on in the process because you cannot stand the idea of getting to know someone and having them get to know you and then them leaving. So you are afraid of being abandoned for a deep truth that you're embarrassed by. This is exactly what motivated David in their very first conversation to take a dump truck of all of his insecurities and pour it on this woman, only for her to freak out thinking, I'm legally married to this man and I can't do it and this isn't the right person and oh my God, what's the other way? What's the alternative? Him being confident, at ease within himself, showing up and getting to know her, understanding this is our wedding day. This is not, oh, this is what happened to me in the past. Field day Olympics. Reading the room and knowing, let me allow this person to get to know me and me to get to know them. And then when the time feels right, maybe a week or so from now, I bring this up so that they actually have a chance to get to know me as a person rather than writing me off immediately. So what do you think about that, my love?
My mentor growing up gave me this expression that really comes the focal point for me in this moment when I'm thinking about this situation. And that was like, you need to make deposits into a person's trust and understanding of you before you can make a withdrawal. And so what he did was on the first time meeting her, so after they said, I do, and they're pulled aside to just kind of chat a little bit, he made 2 huge withdrawals in a bank account that had no money in it. And so he's in the net negative by a lot, to the point where it's hard to ever recover. Now, we can, and again, this goes against everything we ever say, but we're not saying to lie about these subjects and these parts of your life that may be undesirable to others. But we are saying is that you feeling like you need to say these first isn't coming from a loving place of just so you know, it's don't hurt me like the last people. So here's all my baggage right now and take it or leave it. you know,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to going on a date or two, going on a handful of dates to build up enough income in that balance sheet, that bank account we're talking about, to actually make sure that like there's more to this person than just their living situation. There's more to this person than just a bad habit that they can kick overnight if they wanted to, like he did. And so they start by bringing all of the baggage to the forefront. I see this all the time, especially with people that are dating after a divorce, after they have kids, whatever. It's just like, I'm going to show up the first date just being me and just doing that. And like, I get that type of mindset you're trying to be. And it's better than acting like it doesn't exist at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to understand that's not coming from a place of love, it's coming from a place of fear.
Yeah.
And understanding the current development of a relationship, that will only ruin the chances of anything actually building on top of that. Now, this is great. And, you know, this topic, and we'll definitely talk about this in a second, but one thing that came up for me when thinking about this is like, what is so big that you need to say at first date?
That's a great question. Because I think that in the case of David and Michelle, him bringing up the cigarettes, which he only smokes socially, by the way. So like there was a world where he didn't even need to say that. Like he was just so insecure about it and didn't want to be judged for it later on that he had to say it, right? The mom's basement thing, I honestly feel like you don't have to lead with that. Like no, because he's not living in his parents' basement because he's broke. He's living in his parents' basement because he wants to save some money. It's not attached to the house. His parents don't do his laundry. He's in a completely different studio. Now, is it a little dingy and is it not the best scenario? Yes, but he's saving money and taking, getting some money back from the situation in the hopes of buying a house with his partner. So now, I don't know if you think that that's the truth of what's going on. I feel watching the show that he probably has some money, but no one's asking him that question.
So that's partially the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say if we're on our third date, and let's just say hypothetically, I was born and raised in Austin and my parents live in a neighborhood nearby. Mm-hmm. And I told you on the third date, hey, I'm currently living in my parents' basement as I save money for a house. And I actually love it because I love them and just I get to help out around the house and it's all good. I don't think, and prove me wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that would be a deal breaker for you.
I don't think it would either.
But the reason for that is because everything I've shown you on the first date, second date, and hypothetical third date that this takes place, and I say this, you've seen nothing but green flags, positive things that this guy is going to be something.
Yeah.
This guy is something.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it a lot easier to be like, oh yeah, okay, I get that, no problem. And then, and more like I'll say, if we start to take things seriously, I'd love to, think about, especially if they're married, of course, a little bit different than our situation. But if they're married, like in the next handful of months, I think we'll be ready to buy a house. If you say that as part of the thing, I'm like, okay, great, that's actually financially responsible. It's actually probably a positive thing, and he has a good relationship with his family. Great, that's fantastic. But that's not what's going on here, girl. This guy got something that we need to talk about, and that is bum energy.
Not
all right?
Bum energy.
And so, and I'm sending this directly to your DMs, by the way. Is Nick? That's his name?
David.
David. The other season I was thinking about. Nick, talking about Love is Blind. But David, it's going directly to your DMs because it just feels right. Same as Michelle. But what the actual problem is Michelle asked for a list of qualities, right? And David met those qualities to the least standard possible. It's like he was, hey, just said the worst house on the best neighborhood because he was tall, light skin, buff, charismatic, family man, everything she wanted. Mm-hmm. But he's buff and has a hanging gut. And he's buff, but like the t-shirts look, they look like they're bought from Walmart, and he's had them for a decade plus, and they look like they need to be washed. And like when you talk about your job, you're saying, "Oh, my shift starts here," whatever. It sounds broke, and like just the way he holds himself. I'm going hard in the paint dude, I really think you're a fantastic guy. I think you and I would be great friends, but I'm trying to paint the picture of reality so that people stop hating on Michelle as much as they have. She's not perfect. She's going to catch some some strays too. Don't get me wrong, catch some heat. But this dude is giving off maximum bum energy for the list of what he is. It's like he is the worst scenario of those characteristics. And I say this of love because he's a good-looking dude. Mm-hmm. He seems like a very personable, charismatic, smart, funny, just kind guy. And all the things I'm poking fun at are stuff that he can obviously change and wants to change. He's admitted to her he wants to change, but he just gives off bum energy. Just the way he hangs out on the couch.
Can you show the people how he hangs out?
Yeah. So I live at home. If you think about it though, like I got a separate entrance, and it's just I'm saving up money, and it's just I just got a great relationship with my mom. I got my own kitchen stuff, but she still kind of like cook for me every once in a while, and I don't really see him that much. I'm kind of in and out. I only go there to sleep too. Like I don't really spend any time there. I just go to sleep. So it's not what I'm trying to paint the picture is. It's not the situation that is causing her to have this repulsive energy towards him. It's the fact that he's a bum, and everyone on the show is trying to not say that.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to come out and say this guy is a bum. Yes, he hits all the checklists, but also not really. Because yes, that checklist was made to project a certain vibe, to project a certain type of person. And that checklist was made while that vibe and stuff was not taken care of. The person she deserved, I'd say. And so everyone around the show is beating around the bush and just saying, oh, he lives at home. That's the reason for the problems relationship. No. It's not the problems. That's an easy solution.
They even pulled up a clip of her being interviewed by the expert where the expert was like, well, let's say we found the perfect guy, but he still lives with his parents. And she's like, oh, no, I don't like that. And then the expert kind of goads her into being like, well, what if he's saving up to buy a house? And she's like, well, I guess. And then they used that clip as evidence that she said she was okay with him living with the parents. But here's something I want to underscore on what Cam said, because there's a difference between being a bum and having bum energy. And I think the jury is still out on whether or not he's actually a bum, because let's talk about what bum energy feels like. Bum energy comes across like if you're a man, as a dude who, if you're living in your parents' basement and you're like leaning back on the couch and you're just kind of like acting without intention, I think bum energy feels very aimless. It feels like we're just going with the flow a little too much. There's no planning. There's no thoughtfulness. There's no, hey, here's the plan. There's no, I'm planning on moving out of my parents' basement in 2 months after I found my person. I have this much in the bank. This is where we're going. It's the lack of that has her spinning.
It makes women feel unsafe. And now I think over the past year, and we're also go with the flow. We're also like, let's not over strategize everything and just trust everything to be perfect. But that's because we're coupling it with action. We're coupling it with actually doing things that we know we're destined to do in this lifetime. We're actually being who we're capable of being. And when that's happening, it's absolutely optimal to be like, I'm still going with the flow. I have no rigidity. I have no this has to happen this way. I'm just open to whatever. That's a complete different type of flow than what we're experiencing with him. He, and this is something that no one wants to talk about, he is a bum situationally, lives in his parents' basement, a little overweight, despite working out every day for some reason, like all these other things, and also has bum energy. He has both. Both can be worked on, both can be solved, but he has both. And no one wants to confront that.
But do we know, because this is, okay,
yes.
Here's another thing that I know you're saying yes, but here's something that the show has brought to my awareness. no one asks the actual question. It drives me nuts because people are seeing, after he dumped all of this insecurity and trauma on Michelle, basically, and was like, take it or leave it, lady. And she was like, I want to leave it real bad, but she feels guilty and doesn't want to look bad on TV. There's a slew of emotions. After this happened, she has basically like shut down to this man to such a degree that it's making her look like a villain and him look like some martyr who like fell on the sword because why is she treating me so badly? But what no one is actually looking at her in the eye and saying, and you can feel this in her energy, is that she feels like he is a bum, but no one is asking the questions that would clarify whether or not he is. The question, in my opinion, that clarifies this is questions around planning. Where do you see your life in 6 months? What if he has a really good answer to that?
No, it doesn't matter.
What if they were to ask him, how much money do you have in the bank? Would that make a difference?
Most definitely. But there is a reason why he has not alluded to the fact that he's purely in it because it's saving money.
So what you're saying is
there's
a dance happening where he's not being honest about how many resources he has. And they don't want to ask the question because then it would make the whole thing fall apart.
Well, everything he's saying out of circumstance to make them feel better that he's not doing stuff with his life. So he's saying that he lives at home because he's a family man and prioritizes being with the family and also saving money. And at that same stroke, he's like, yeah, I'm a family man. I live at home from a family. And also, like, I don't really see them, we're kind of in and out. We're kind of this and that. So he's curating a narrative about the most optimistic, positive thing, a positive spin I can have in the situation. I'm a family man. I just love being close to family and my little sister and all that. And also simultaneously being like, oh, but I don't really see them. I come here to sleep, whatever it is. So that is showing that he's utilizing it as this altruistic excuse while simultaneously trying to read how she feel about it. Okay, she doesn't like it. Well, actually, I don't really see her that. I'm not here that often. I don't really see them. They're kind of upstairs all the time. So both are coming from places that aren't truth, that aren't authentic. And it is a story, a narrative he is creating to give him the best chance of her to like him. But all of it's false. All of it is an excuse. And you can feel it because energy doesn't lie. And again, like I was saying, if someone you can tell is up to something, is standing, like when we met, I had a mattress that was it, in my apartment. A empty mattress, like barely a sheet on it. I had to order some like Amazon plate utensils. That's all I really had. And I wasn't working at the time. Just moved here from Indonesia. Didn't know anyone. Like I had some like kind of sketch. I'm also like younger than you. I was at the time 24. Like I had a lot of things that someone could be like, what's up with him? Kind of a bum. I had that on paper, but nothing about my energy signified that.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing here is we're trying to make our minds, everyone on the show and us at this moment, trying to rationalize this guy when we know that his energy is just whack. It doesn't feel right. What he's saying his values are, what he's saying his goals are, aren't actually taking place. And this guy's like in his late 30s. This isn't a 19-year-old with a chip on his shoulder. This is someone who has had plenty of time to become the person he's capable of being, but has not. And if you really are about the family life, and I love that, I think it's actually a lot more value aligned than going and chasing $1 million, whatever it is, great, but be fully about that. Don't also be wishy-washy on that too, depending on what you want her to hear, what you want her to feel. Be about whatever life you're about. And it's the lack of that that's causing her to feel unstable and unsafe. And then because of that, no matter what he says, even if it's just like some kind stuff, even just some, normal conversation, she gets the ick. She's repulsed by it. It's because no matter what he says, it can't overcome his energy.
That is brilliant. And I think it's a great reminder that what we don't own within ourselves, other people won't own. either.
Yeah.
If we don't accept ourselves, other people will not accept us as easily because we experience the world as ourselves pushed out. So if this man is saying, oh, well, I live at home because I'm a family man, but I never see them. Okay, well, then which one is it? And now I'm confused because now you're not telling me the truth. You're not owning the situation. If he were to have said, I live at home because I love my family and I see them all the time and we do game nights and I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. We'd be in a completely different situation with these two.
Yeah.
If that was the truth.
And also, he works out every day, but he's fat.
That's also true.
And also, like, he's had multiple business and all that, but it looks like every business failed and he's keeping all the products from those businesses, like the bar he started, in his basement. So in the middle of his dirty, dumpy basement, there is a keg and a kegerator. I didn't even know the kegerator existed. A refrigerator for the keg is just that there. There's like posters, like as if it was like some college bar. That was his basement. There's no sign of cleanliness, no sign of taking care of business.
Sorry.
She would have to be blind and ignorant and numb to not feel a vibe of this guy. to be like, you know what? I'm gonna attach my sidecar. I'm gonna attach the rest of my life to this guy that I was matched on TV. Now, I know it's a reality TV show, and they were probably put together for entertainment, and she's having a really tough time saying directly that this guy just has bum energy, and she keeps on using the excuse of, oh, he lives there, and because it's, just lives in the parents' basement, it's easy for the experts to be like, well, he can move out, and it can be very different, because no one wants to say the truth. And again, he is in the position that he's in because he won't look in the mirror to his own truth. And so the rest of his life is a coping mechanism and an excuse for why he isn't the person he's meant to be. And for some people, like his mom and dad, they'll be like, oh, I love you anyways. Yeah, sure. Just live in the basement. No problem at all. But for people that are actually invested in his future, like a potential wife, they're like, no, we can't ignore this anymore because I have much to lose if I attach myself in this ignorance in this situation. So that's what's taking place. And that's why, like, I know the whole show is entertainment and these experts are quote unquote experts. And we're like, half the decisions they're making, 80% of decisions make, like, why are we actually making that? It's not actually what's best for the couple. Not saying we're perfect at this, but I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. And it's leading to couples destroying relationships and having fights and having all this banter that is all happening because we're afraid to say the truth.
And this poor woman, because this is what's really wild when you watch the show, the experts are trying to, like, get her to come around by staying on, like, the top layer of the situation. So they'll be like, Michelle, what's going on? And then she'll be, like, on the verge of tears because she doesn't want to say the actual deep truth, which is, I don't trust this man to show up for me, provide for us, and to keep me safe. I don't trust this man. He's saying things and he's not doing them. His words aren't matching his actions. That causes such an ick in women. And it's a primal ick. It's not even an ick most people realize that's what's going on. But when the words don't match the action in a man, women know it and they feel it, but they can't explain it. And this is what she's going through. But yet the experts are staying on this top layer of, well, Michelle, we asked you if you would be okay with someone who lived in their parents' basement. And you said, yeah. So, we gave you what you wanted, but no one wants to look at the truth of the situation, which there's a difference between living in your parents' basement because you want to and because you have to. And because your bum energy is keeping you as a bum. And I just feel like this whole situation is so wild because you watch these two parties, Michelle, this poor woman who's being, like, berated. She's like the villain of the season. And I feel bad for her. And then the experts being like, well, like almost like, gotcha.
They're
like,
gaslighting her.
You said that you'd be fine with it. And then she's like, well, I mean, who wants that?
Yeah.
Who wants that? This is a woman who's really worked hard to provide for herself, and she doesn't want this. This is not what she expected. It's not what she desired. And she can't say this. Like, I feel like, Michelle, I see you. I see you. If this were me, I would be acting nearly the same way.
Yeah.
But I probably would have said, this just isn't it for me. It doesn't feel right. And I would probably have the awareness to say, your words aren't matching your actions, and it's freaking me out. I'd also ask him, how much money do you have in the bank, and what is your plan for the next 6 months? And if he can't get with that quickly, I'll just be like, all right, I don't feel safe here. I just want you to know that. I don't feel safe here. And I don't think this is the right relationship for me.
Exactly. And this prompts me with a question I implore every woman to think about. And that is, let's just take a example or a situation in which the man you're with is mute. He's unable to speak. He's unable to tell you about how tomorrow's going to be better and how, well, I'm just working this one thing, this plan, what's this? Act as if he's mute. Because I understand women fall in love by words and men fall in love by what they see. If we act as if our man is mute, how's his actions? Does his energy make you feel safe? Does it make you feel loved, seen, and heard? Does it make you feel confident in investing into a future with this person? If that answer is no, and the only reason why you're sticking with this person up is based upon what they say, words are very cheap. There are a million people out there with a million words to say, but no real action behind it. And oftentimes that's what leads to divorce. That's what leads to all fighting, is when someone says something, they don't follow through on it. And so let's take this example, this hypothetical, that was a word. And what if they're unable to speak a better tomorrow anymore? And they can only live it. Would you still want to be with that person? And this is an obvious scenario where that is not the case. Where even the words sound terrible. Even the words suck. But the actions and energy are just as bad. And it grinds my gears. I understand it's television. I understand it's entertainment. I understand it's all happening for a reason. But I also know that people watch this show as if it's real life, and they believe they're learning from this show as to what the experts are saying, as to how people are acting, and they're going upon it and bringing this, embodying this into their relationships. And it's sad to see. You know, we see this all the time in our profession. I see other coaches, other people that accept money for a service, and they're giving advice that may not be in the person's best interest. And it's sad to see, and just makes me want to put more and more content out there that is what feels more aligned, what feels more right, what feels more like the authentic truth and the authentic amount of love for everyone involved. But yeah, it's just like, seeing this is kind of crazy. And let's just not start like moving around or starting to tiptoe around the fact that there's some serious bums out there. A lot of bum men right now who just ain't got their stuff together, but act like they're about to get their stuff together. And why are we putting up with that?
Baby, what a great question. And if you do resonate with, like, if you're listening to us and it's like kind of painful, you're kind of feeling it in your chest.
That means you dated a bum.
You either dated a bum
or you are a bum.
I have some bad news for you. You may be the bum. And that's okay. Listen, we say this with no judgment. But if you do feel like you're in that situation, listen to our episode about how relationships make you more productive, because you are not, like, you're not doomed to a life of bumhood. Like, you can make a change at any moment. And it starts with the smallest things. It starts with following through on the promises you make to yourself. That right there, anyone who has that energy of I say it, I do it, can't be a bum. Bums are people who say a lot of things and do none of them. That's what a bum is. Now, we don't say bum in like a derogatory way. A bum is just somebody who does not follow through.
Can I share something a little controversial?
Of course.
Women enable bums.
Ooh.
If women as a collective hopped on a Zoom call for half an hour, and we're all just like, hey, let's all just band together and say that we're just not going to date bums anymore.
That's my dating community.
Exactly. Literally. But if there was any unison in the quality of men that you want to demand, you want to feel as if you deserve, if all of y'all came together, all, whatever, 4 billion of you, were like, no more bums. I guarantee you 95% of the bums will change up their act real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because they're getting just enough of what they want that keeps them where they're at. Men will build themselves into the person they need to be with the least amount of effort possible to get what they want. And since the dawn of time, it's been women. And so now, of course, as a woman, you yourself cannot be a bum. There's plenty of you bum women out there, don't get me wrong. And so we need to, look in the mirror on this stuff too. But if you want no more bums in this world, stop giving attention to bums. And very quickly, men will change their behavior. I mean, we fought wars for women. We've died for women. We've done all these things for women. Most men wake up every single day, work their 9 to 5. They hate whatever it is they got going on for women. And if we want to shift men out of this, we can today. How do you feel about that?
Baby, I love that. That is literally the ethos of my women's dating community, because it's when women decide no more situationships, no more bad behavior, no more men who treat me like shit. It's when we all say, you know what? We're not only not allowing any of that, we're raising the bar. And we are going to teach people how we want to be treated. Because men are very teachable. We've talked about this before. Men want to make you happy. That's really kind of why they exist. I mean, you think about the polarity of energies. Men do all these things just to get a smile. Literally. We talked about this earlier, where a woman tweeted well, dudes have all these chivalrous acts like carrying a girl over a puddle or opening the car doors. Why do they do that? And then I asked Cam, I was like, well, not why do they do that? What's the women equivalent? And I was like, baby, what is the women equivalent? And what did you say?
The women equivalent to that is the exchange that takes place as we do that act. And so as I'm holding the door for you, as I'm laying down my jacket for you to step over the puddle, whatever it is, you are giving me a level of love and affirmation that's different to my normal default. It's a temporary high of just this energy, this love energy that fills my heart in ways that nothing else ever can. No amount of money, no video game, whatever it is. And so of course, women are just as capable as opening a door and all these other things. But what men really need, the one thing that we can't build or create ourselves, is love from a female, is love from a woman. That has always been a driving force. That's always been how the balance works. Doesn't make either sex or gender lesser or more than, but we're here to love. And women give that so well. And if we work on how that incentive structure really is, we can solve a lot of today's problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if it resonates with you and you want to step into a reality where men are amazing, they treat you like a queen, and you will no longer have to deal with situationships, dudes who fizzle out and ghost, or just bum energy dudes, don't worry, baby. We got you not only on this pod every single week, listening to us yap about these topics, but we got you in our dating communities too. And if you as a man want to bust through that bum energy.
True brotherhood. That's where it's going to be. Now, what's going to be great about both our communities is not only is we're setting a higher standard for who we date and who we come in contact with, not only for relationships, but in particular for true brotherhood. It's going to be business partners and all that, clients, and everything we do in life. We want to set the standard even higher, set the bar even higher. But that starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it comes down to. Women and men can only demand or deserve a higher caliber person if they meet that caliber. You can't continue with the same ways, the same bummish behaviors as a man or woman, and then just say you're only going to expect this and think you're going to get it. No, we got to build you in the person, the higher level person that's capable of attracting everyone and anyone that isn't a bum. That suits your fancy, whatever it is that you like in this world. We're trying to get you ready to build yourself into the person that can have anything they could ever want, including a not bummy at all woman like the one I have.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank you, baby. I love you so much.
I love you. You're not most of the time. You're not a bum.
I'm a bum sometimes.
You're a bum sometimes. I mean, we trot around oftentimes like in our pajamas, never leave the house. We have that type of up against the couch.
But then we come and sit on this couch.
But then we cook and we go on sales calls and we email and we have
cook,
a balance.
We don't involve food. By cook, we mean we get in and we do some soul surgery on these MFs and really make something happen.
People pay us for our time.
We host an event every day. We're doing lots of stuff. We deserve a little sprinkle of bumhood. So that's why we don't say bum in a bad way. We are bums.
And our life enjoyment increased the more bummy we became, as long as it's balanced.
Yes.
And that's the problem. We have no problem with the behavior that our guy on the show is doing, as long as it's balanced. But it's the imbalance that's causing the huge problem.
Balanced.
Because if it was the complete opposite, we're working all the time, didn't have a time for her or whatever, that can be also just as much of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the balance that we want.
I love it, baby. Oh, I cannot wait for next week to see all of you yet again. We are so grateful for you for joining us for this conversation. We may even just turn little bits of this show into a Married at First Sight watch party, because there's a lot to talk about on this show. They're not the only couple catching strays on this season, okay? But thank you for joining us. If you watch the episodes and see what we're saying, let us know. But we hope that this brought this idea of bum energy, bum and bumette energy to life. And we're so grateful for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you next week.
Love y'all. See you
Bye,
next week.
y'all. See you next week. Love you. Thank you so much for watching that beautiful episode. We are so grateful to have you on this journey with us. If you want to see more from us, you can click somewhere over here or over yonder. And if you could, rate our show 5 stars on Spotify, Apple, wherever you are. Put a like on our video, drop a comment, even if it's a small emoji. We did not realize how big of a difference that engagement makes. Y'all, I'll tell you, it makes a huge, huge difference. And because of all the engagement, we are now a top 100 podcast in the relationship category in 4 countries.
That's awesome.
Which is so cool. So thank you for being on this beginning journey with us. We'll never forget the folks who supported us when we were a new baby little podcast. So thank you so much. All the links are below, and we'll see you next week. Bye, y'all. Bye-bye.